All right, the last step to this assembly is to show you how to change the different types of constraints that we have that are governing the shape or the orientation of this assembly. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my mates, and I am going to click on this angle mate, and I am going to suppress it. And when I do that, if I come over here and drag the object, you'll see that I can actually actuate this mechanical arm. Now, the other one that I want to suppress is the angle for the bucket as well. So I'll left click on it and suppress that as well. So now I can actuate the bucket as well. So now I have basically 2 degrees of freedom. All right, so what the assembly document is going to ask is for you to put in some distance mates in here. And the question is, how do you do that when you can't see inside the object itself? Well, probably the easiest way to do it is to come over to the object itself and right click on it, and you have the option of changing its transparency, or essentially make it transparent. So we have this situation here. All right, so we're going to put a distance mate in here. So that distance is supposed to be 0.85 meters in this case. All right, so how do we go about this? Well, we'll go in here to Assembly, Mate, and we know we're going to be making a distance mate, so I will set that to 0.85. And now the problem is that when I hover over this stuff, there's multiple things going on here. So it depends. Sometimes it'll let you grab it. In this case, that is the surface I want. So I'm going to select that surface. Now I'm going to come over here and try to select the back surface of this. And you'll notice that as I hover over it, there's lots of stuff happening here. So you can try to kind of get yourself an orientation where there's not that much behind it. So in this case, we have this, and you might be able to grab it. But really the best way to do it is to hover over the object that you want. In this case, the object that I want is this back cylinder. This forms the bottom of the cylinder. And if you can't get it exactly, what you want to do is hover over it, right click, and you have this option to select Other. And what it'll do, it'll give you a list of objects that are underneath your mouse at that point. So this is the face of the cylinder. I don't want that. This is the actual face that I want. And the last face is the face of the revolve that I used for making this part. So this is the face that I want. So I will select that. And it's going to put the distance in of 0.85. And that's what I want. So I'll select Add Finish Mate. So the next mate that I want to put in is 0.35. So we'll do essentially the exact same process. To do this, I'm going to have to make it transparent. So let me close the mate box for a second to allow me to right click on this. And again, select Change Transparency. And now we'll essentially go through the same steps. So I'll go to Mate. The distance that I want is 0.35. So we'll select Distance 0.35. And we'll go ahead and see what we can grab. So if I hover over this, again, it's allowing me to select that directly. And we'll come in here and rotate around and see. So there's going to be lots of stuff here. So again, I'm going to hover over this one. I'm going to right click, select Other. So there's lots of things that are underneath it here. So I can hover over that. That's not what I want, not what I want, not what I want. That's the one that I want. So I'll select that. And it's moving it to a distance of 0.35. And I will select Add Finish Mate. And I will add or say OK to my mate tool over here. So let's go and view it from the front and pull up the actual document, and they look pretty similar. All right, so we need to know what the center of mass is, or we're trying to verify that the center of mass is going to be equal to this one. We will go to evaluate, go to mass properties. Again, we're doing this in reference to coordinate system 1. So we had negative 1.92, 0.71 for y, and 0.26 for z. So that is the final step that we needed to do. So for the assignment, you're being asked to change one of these, change one angle and change one distance mate. So you can go ahead and do that. And just as an example of this, so right now we have angle mates and distance mates. Let me suppress all of them for right now. So again, we're back to where we were just a moment ago. So then to finally control this, I can go back and select the angle, which is this one. So I can right click and unsuppress it. So I can left click on it, choose to edit the feature, and I could come in here and change the angle directly. I could make this 100 degrees. Sometimes it's easier. You can just select the angle itself. It'll highlight where it is, and you can come in here and just change it. I'll change it to 120 degrees. And sometimes it'll actuate, sometimes it might not. You have to make sure that you don't see stoplight asking you to rebuild the part. So in this case, it did rebuild automatically. All right, so that's a quick one. Creating the distance mates, using the transparency feature, using the select other options, and manipulating and changing your mates.